Hi guys, Tom Shepherd here. I'm showing you how to paint this fella. This is actually the second video in a series. If you'd like to see the first one, you can follow a link right here. In that one, I was showing you how to block in nice simple shapes. In this video, I'm going to show you how to refine those shapes and begin pushing that painting forward. So in the last video, you saw me block in this lovely scarlet macaw using just very simple shapes. Really looking at the subject, blowing my eyes and trying to get those very basic shapes on the canvas. The next stage is then to refine these shapes, and in some way it's picking the bit of the painting that's going to be the focal point or is going to have the most amount of detail. And here it's fairly obvious that the face is going to be that focal point. So if there's any shape that I really need to home in on and get it just right, it's this area here. And at the moment, it's not quite there. The painting as a whole is looking fine. I'm happy with these big shapes, but it's this area here that I really need to suss out before I take it any further. So this next stage is the refinement stage. So we started with big shapes and I'm now homing in on the smaller shapes. So number one is kind of diving in here. I still don't want any detail. This isn't about putting detail in. It's about refining those basic shapes. So I'm fairly happy with the shape here of the beak. Although it's fairly crude, the shape is good. What I've not quite got right is up here. So it's just taking a moment to refine these bits. And it's easy to judge the painting at this stage as not working or being a bad painting, but it's not. It's just that the shapes need refining. So this is the part of the painting where it can be easy to get disheartened or want to give up, but we just go back to basics and look for those simple shapes. And once I've got this bit right, I can have a bit more fun with this area here. So I'm taking a line up from here to give me roughly where the eye is going to be. That's going to help me refine this area. And I'm just popping in a few basic marks, looking for those lines and looking for those shapes and how they interact with each other. So that's the parrot's face. To me, is looking just a little bit better. It didn't take a lot, but we just need to spend a moment getting those things right. Or maybe not right, getting them accurate. And this is painting. You're not going to get everything right straight off the bat. It's a natural process of moving things around. And once you start moving a few shapes around, it quite quickly leads you in to other areas. So I can tell that this shape is not quite right. Some of my proportions are a little bit off, but it's nothing major. And again, this is painting. So I can see here, this shape, I've got the angle slightly wrong, which is fine. I need to give a bit more shape up there. And although it feels a little bit more laborious than the initial exciting start, if I can get this right at this stage, the rest of the painting is going to firstly be a lot easier. It's going to be a lot quicker. And it's also going to be a lot more fun. You can see just little changes to the shape and they're starting to feel a bit more natural. And again, still no detail. It's all shape refinement. There we go. So the proportion of the head now, to me, feels more in keeping with the rest of the body. Not quite right in there. We're getting there. And it's only a few subtle changes. But it really is worth taking that time at this stage to make these changes. So try not to judge your painting as being a good or a bad painting. You just want to judge it from a point of view of shape. Have I got my shapes right? So in here, that's all going to change when I put in some thicker paint. It's this angle here that I'm trying to get right at the moment. And we can do that for the first time with a little bit of background. This is going to be more of a sketchy painting in places and focus on one particular area to bring to a high level of refinement. And what I'm hoping to do is leave the rest a bit brushy, which is why I'm spending so much time here. And as a result, I'm not planning on painting a whole background. I'm just going to use this background tone and colour to help shape the parrot itself. And also want it to be quite a dull colour. So I'm just kind of feeling my way in, keep it nice and brushy. Use the negative shape of the background to carve away at the positive shape of the bird. And also in this case, just trap that light hitting the beak. And then we can keep it nice and brushy out here. It's an opportunity to have a bit of movement to the painting. And then while I've got that background colour, I don't want to paint the whole background, but I'm just going to use it to carve away at the shape of the bird on this side. So hopefully all of this is showing you don't need to get it exactly right straight off the bat. There's plenty of room for changing your shapes later. And hopefully that takes a bit of the pressure off this feeling that we need to get it right straight away. In fact, what you can do is you start to enjoy the process of refining these shapes, and it becomes fun. You can still see that this shape in here, it's not quite working yet. It's getting there, and we're not far off as a whole. I'm going to help mark in the eye, and then I'm going to start sculpting this shape here and really focus on getting this shape right. And then the next stage after that will be starting to bring it to a finish with the modelling stage. So let's really home in on this and get it right. Nice and simple. And if in doubt, I blur my eyes and I just go back to what shape is it and what tone is it. So we come in here and do something like that. Basically what we're trying to do is just resolve an area that at the moment is not quite working in the context of the whole painting. And that's helped it along a little bit. So we're going to slightly smaller shapes now, but we need these small shapes to trap. We need these small shapes to help refine and cut away at the bigger shapes. So there's a lovely little shadow here just cast off the beak, so we're going to pop that in. And that kind of shapes the beak a bit more. It's getting there. I think another little tip is not to get caught up in one area for too long. It could be really easy for me to be painting away at this beak area and not really getting it anywhere. So I'm going to work on it for a bit and then move away. And what you'll find is if you work like that, you don't get too bogged down in one area. And at one point you'll come back to this area and it'll almost just sort itself out if you're lucky. So again, using the background to refine the positive shape there. And then nearly there, there's just a bit more red I want to add as well. And obviously we're going to come back in and finish this area off. That's in the modelling stage and the finishing off stage. But for now, it's much more refined than it was a minute ago. So I know I'm kind of on track. I think another little trick is not to push towards a finish too quickly. Not to judge it too harshly as being a good or a bad painting, and we don't want to start moving towards a finish too quickly. If I start adding a lot of detail before I've got the shapes right, it's never going to work. But if I get the shapes right, it's going to make the rest of the process a lot easier. There we go. So you can see that's just suddenly that little shadow there, just the right shape, just the right tone, and this whole area is beginning to work. So I'm going to start bringing out a little bit more in the face. I'm going to place the eye because that's an important shape, and then that's the refinement stage done, and we're kind of onto the next stage after that. There we go. So is it in the right place? It looks to be pretty much in the right place. And again, I'm forgetting I'm painting a parrot's eye. I'm just blocking in a very simple shape. We can make it look like an eye later. So really basic shapes. What exactly is that doing there? It's almost just like a map for later on in the painting. Still paying attention to tone. Trying to get some accurate shapes in there. A couple of last little adjustments before we take it any further. Going to take that up a little bit higher. And then just before we leave this refinement stage, there's a couple of little last bits to do, and it's more to do with this area here. So at the moment, this is one big flat shape, which is fine, but it's not got much form to it. So we just want to break that shape up. It's not really detail, it's just taking a big shape and beginning to break it up into smaller shapes. So we've got just off here a lovely bit of shadow. Something like that. So I'm blocking in a bit more shadow. There's a bit more shadow there. But I don't want to do any more than that at this stage. But as a result, we're already starting to now get a bit of a feeling of light coming into the subject. And it's when we start to take these big shapes and just break them up a little bit, we start to get more of a feeling of form and roundness to our subject. So I think that concludes the refinement stage. So to sum up, we took those nice big basic shapes we started with and refined them. In the next video, we're going to look at modelling those shapes and setting up for those finishing touches. If you like what you've seen, give me a big thumbs up, really helps me out. If you've got any comments or there's anything you'd like to see me paint, please do comment below. I'll try my best to accommodate. Hit the subscribe button to be notified of any new videos as they come out, and there's going to be lots more. Until then, happy painting, and I'll see you soon.